After 2023, which just seemed to deliver banger after banger, I honestly didn't expect much from 2024 by comparison. But boy, how I was wrong, because just 3 months in, we've had an enormous selection of some genuinely great games that have dropped on PlayStation 5. Hello there my friends, it's Aaron from Push Square here, and I am about to break down the top 10 games of 2024 so far. The plan with this is that I'm going to release a new one of these every 3 months across 2024, so that we can see how this list changes or stays the same. So let's kick it off with our top 10 for the first quarter of 2024. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden was one of those games that quietly snuck up on us in 2024. It's got a cracking premise here as two lovers that are also ghost hunters make their way to a 17th century American town that's under a brutal curse. Antia, the duo's expert, is unceremoniously killed by the demonic entity, leaving her apprentice, a rough Scottish lad Red, truly in the deep end as he tries to get to the heart of the curse on his own. Except he isn't really alone, because Antia is now a ghost and able to communicate and help him from the other side. The especially interesting part of this action RPG is that Antia merely existing kinda goes against their whole ghost hunting code. So as you delve deeper into its story, it's up to you to decide whether you're able to let go of the one you love for the sake of your code, or go against it all and try to bring her back from the dead, which may not be as great as you'd hoped for. It's a brilliant story and one you shouldn't let slip you by for all of the big AAA releases of the year. Pacific Drive dumps players in the Olympic exclusion zone, a weird sci-fi enigma with anomalies galore. On your own you'd surely die there in minutes, but with the help of an old station wagon which doubles as a customizable and portable safe zone, you will venture out to discover the truth about the zone. Pacific Drive has vibes for days, with a brilliant visual style that almost reminded me of Firewatch. It is great to take in the sights as you feel all cozy within your vehicle. What surprised me the most about this game was just how hardcore of a survival roguelike it is. You will venture out into the new zone areas collecting supplies and conducting experiments at the whims of the scientists who are contacting you over the radio. After all of that, you'll return to your trusty garage, and it's here where you'll obsess over every panel, wheel and drop of petrol whilst investing into a collection of blueprints to upgrade your whip. It's one of those games that you'll spend more time here in the garage than you will actually out on the road, which I personally found exhilarating. It might not be for everyone and it is a tough game, but it's a much grander game than I think any of us really expected. It's been a minute since we had a new Prince of Persia game, and The Lost Crown isn't exactly what a lot of people expected to come next from the franchise, but boy are we glad that it did. This Metroidvania take on the series is tough as nails as Sargon, one of the mighty immortals, must delve into the mysterious Mount Kaf to save the titular Prince of Persia. From there you have an addictive sense of exploration as you uncover more of its labyrinthine map and steadily upgrade Sargon's abilities. The combat in particular is really fun and has a nice rhythm to it as you dodge, parry and carry out ability strikes. It's quite refreshing too to have a large IP like this not go too big. This is a somewhat restrained approach in many ways, with a central story, plenty of side content and collectibles, but you can do it all within 30-40 hours. The story of Cloud and the gang continued in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the ambitious second chapter in this grand trilogy retelling. Much like Remake before it, Rebirth is a nostalgia overdose as you explore iconic locales now fully realised and relive infamous levels now with stunning 4K textures. This is a much larger affair than Remake 2, extending into a semi-open world structure, meaning you really have the time to get to know your gang and become one with the combat, which has seen its own improvements from the last game. It definitely suffers from middle chapter syndrome, but with that said, when the eventual third entry releases, it will be part of an impressively enormous undertaking from Square Enix. Vanillaware just doesn't miss, does it? Unicorn Overlord is a strategy RPG that takes clear inspiration from the likes of Fire Emblem, but it is dripping with the developer's trademark style, which masterfully blends modernized designs while still having an old school air about it. It's easily one of the best examples of the genre that we have seen in years. Regardless of whether you're a newbie to Vanillaware games or not, this hits out at all the stops with an engrossing fantasy world, a stellar cast, rousing score, and a gameplay loop that will truly sink its claws into you. Vanillaware is a developer at the peak of its craft, and there's not much that it doesn't excel with in Unicorn Overlord. Talk about a return to form. Tekken 8 is pure silliness bottled up in an expensive looking fighting game, and it's all the better for it. The campaign, which continues the whole family feud thing, which I'm not even going to try to explain here, is short-lived, which is probably for the best, but it ensures that you feel that awesome sense of scale as you move from one pretty fighting arena to the next. Tekken 8 feels fantastic to play, and now with its heat system, fights have an edgier dynamic to them. That translates brilliantly to the game's online component, which not only features a near flawless rollback netcode, but also a fully fledged multiplayer arcade experience, which lets you level up and customize your own avatar, whilst raising through the ranks as you defeat all of your friends. If you're looking for style in 2024, then you need not look further than Persona 3 Reload. This flashy remake of the PS2 classic is everything fans of the series could have ever hoped for. It essentially brings Persona 3 in line with the more modern Persona 5 in that you have proper upgraded visuals and huge gameplay upgrades both in and out of battle. On top of all that, Reload smartly keeps things pretty similar story-wise, wherein you're essentially acting as part of a hit squad that hunts down demons during the elusive Dark Hour. It's filled with darker subject materials than its successors, or predecessors I suppose now. Either way, it makes for a truly enthralling Persona experience. There are very few franchises that are this damn reliable. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth launched in January, just a few months after The Man Who Erased His Name, and confidently delivered one of the best Yakuza experiences that we've had in years. Following both Kiryu and Ichiban on their separate yet entangled adventures, Infinite Wealth travels overseas for the first time to the sandy beaches of Hawaii. Infinite Wealth really has no idea what it means to rein it in, as the game delivers the best version of its turn-based combat system, has a full and surprisingly emotional story at its heart, littles its setting with so many little side activities, and even has its own spin on a management sim in Dondoko Island. Infinite Wealth truly is the full package. I don't think there will be a bigger surprise than Helldivers 2 in 2024. This ambitious sequel ditched its top-down perspective to deliver a visceral yet hilarious survival experience that not only makes it one of the best third-person shooters on the market currently, but also one of the best co-op experiences of this generation. Dropping down onto various planets filled with either creepy bugs or Terminator-like robots, it's up to you to deliver democracy in this galaxy-wide war effort. As you creep up the difficulty scales, Helldivers 2 is some of the best gaming fun that I've had with my friends in years. Teamwork is utterly essential, and Helldivers feels great when you take down a big enemy or finally see an end to an onslaught. But it's also at its best when everything goes wrong. Misplaced stratagems, accidentally shooting teammates, or bombs blasting you through the air. It is so funny as you have teammates screaming at you for accidentally killing you, but you know, that's what it's all about. You don't really get much better than that. Saying that, of course, we have to have our number one spot, and that number one spot goes to Dragon's Dogma 2, a sequel 12 years in the making, and it was certainly worth the wait. This enormous RPG puts a huge emphasis on emergent gameplay, so I'd say it's less about taking in the setting or story or even its vistas, although they are all pretty damn cool, and more just about going with the flow and enjoying the constant stream of chaos, happening across bandit camps, being attacked by a roaming griffin, or immediately being destroyed by a nearby dragon. The best moments in Dragon's Dogma 2 are the ones that feel like they're unscripted. While I would have personally loved to have seen co-op make its way to this sequel, the pawn AI system is truly brilliant. Making your own and then recruiting other players' pawns, these little characters will chat away to each other, make suggestions, and help at your command during combat, and they'll learn from you when they're doing so. There really is a brilliant sense of community amongst these pawns as you sit by the fire after a long day's hike through goblin-infested territory. It's all about living in the moment in Dragon's Dogma 2, which makes it one of the most immersive experiences of the year so far. So there you have it, the top 10 PS5 games of 2024 so far. Let me know what you think of this list down in the comments, including those you maybe think were snubbed from the list. And remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on the next part of this big 2024 experiment, which will drop around the end of June to see how our top 10 rankings shift across the year. Anyway, thank you as always for watching, and until next time, I've been Aiden and this has been Push Square.